be a healer for all humanity. I am called to be a dreamer, believing what can be. I am called to be a maker, being an instrument of peace. I am called to be a giver, of abundance I receive. I am called to be a prayer, living out the truth I seek. I am called to be everything. I am called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I'm the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be. You are called to be a mother, to nurture family. You are called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. You are called to be a neighbor, see a friend in all you meet. You are called to be a leader, to build community. You are called to be a prayer, living out the truth you see. You are called to be everything. You are called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. You're the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be. We are called to be the kindness, set the brokenhearted free. We are called to be forgiveness, where pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then can we succeed. We are called to be a prayer, living out the truth we see. We are called to be everything. We are called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. We're the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be free, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be free, called to be, oh, called to be.
Join us in taking a look at what's going on this week. We do apologize for the technical challenges we've had over the few last week, but we have that resolved. So we return to our next normally scheduled programming. So on Monday, join Rev Rich on a meditation journey in Meditation Monday as you join in consciousness or in a meditation lesson to start off your week right and make sure that it's a beautiful day in your consciousness. With that, we move on to Tuesday with our Tea Time Truth Talk with Alicia Pacheco and Rev Rich as we look at questions and answers for our generation today, as well as a spiritual solution to those questions. On Wednesday, we continue our book series, and we hope that you receive the book as we now look at living life intentionally as we put the book's suggestions into action, such as we do here at Unity. And with that being said, we want to thank you all for joining us today and being called to be here. We continue to tell you to support your spiritual centers, and if you wish to help us here, you can always go to our YouTube channel and hit the About tab, and there's a donate button there. Or you can always go to witheveryencounter.com/spiritual-community, and you will also find a donate button there. With that being said, one more time, we are so grateful for you being here, and let us return to our service.
As always, good morning and welcome to our Sunday celebration as we begin a new series on being open to receive. As always, if you ever heard me talk, I always tell you, and it's something my mentors have told me, is that when we choose our talk series or talk, it's usually something that we as ministers or we as the speaker need to hear. And this is one lesson that was one of the hardest things for me to learn. But when I did, my life was tremendously changed. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. So with that being said, as always, subscribe, like, share this out. If you happen to be here live, hit us in the chat room. Let us know that you're here. Any requests you may have, any comments you may have, all appreciated. Go ahead and put it into the chat room here. I also want you to pay attention to the chat room because next week, for our next talk in this series, there will be an attachment for you to download and print. And I will also put that link in with the promotions on Facebook and so forth and so on. And if you happen to be in the Unity of NEPA family and you're going to the video on the website, there'll be a link there for you to go ahead and download the document. But I'll tell you more about that later as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and open up by centering into this moment, knowing that we are gathered here today as one consciousness, one love, one heart, in oneness. And with that, I want to share today's daily word as we affirm the word gather. And we affirm together, we gather and magnify the presence of God. And you know that our way shower said, where two or more gathered in my name, here I am. And our prayer for today is, as I gather with others in spirit of love and peace, my awareness of God's presence become more powerful, even palpable. Together, we create an energy, a vibration greater than any of us has alone. I am comfortable and at ease when I notice our differing appearances, preferences, backgrounds, and opinions, because I am reminded of the limitless diversity of divine expression and my place in it. When I join in fellowship with my family and friends and all others who are dear to me, each of us become a mirror of each other. We see in one another the divine presence that lives in and expresses as every person. The unifying energy of divine love unites and binds us together. In this love, we are one. And we are one here together as you join me, whether it's live or later on. Our oneness, our love, our joy that spreads in and through all of us as this gorgeous presence that we know is God, flowing in and through us, that we are one. We share the Hebrew scriptures of Psalm 133:1, where it's how very good and pleasant it is when kindred live together in unity. And we say it is and so it is, and we let it be here. And we affirm this with an amen.
I breathe in, I breathe out. believe I am healed. I am whole. I release. I know. No need to push, no need to try, no need to worry or question why. Surrender, let go, release, and know. Take in, I give out, I let go, I let go, I release, I know.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed. And I know you're in a meditative state right now with that song, Breathe. And I want you to breathe into this moment as, if you remember correctly, last week I asked you that after our fourth talk, I wanted people to share with us what they got out of the last 4 weeks and how it worked in their life. I can tell you that when I started to study not only the levels of consciousness, and also the visionary process with Michael Bernard Beckwith, which kind of mimics our level of consciousness, how my life began to change, especially around reactions and how I reacted to things. Well, today I want to share an email that someone sent me about what they learned over the last 4 weeks and how they implemented it into their lives. It says, here is what has happened this past week. I remember the story Reverend Diane told about the anorexic woman who read a lot of books but never learned to cook. I realized that I was feeling a little spiritually empty despite reading many books. However, this series of videos, sweet and simple, reminded me of what I have been missing. I had to connect the spiritual principles to my own life in order to feel full again. One in particular stood out to be was our thoughts have creative power to influence events and determine our own experiences. So I decided to have the one of my guiding thoughts of my upcoming work week. The next day I read the Daily Word, which was all about being helpful. Keeping both of those in mind, I decided to be more open to the possibilities and listen to my inner voice so that I may be guided to opportunities to serve. As it turned out, I kept inner twings from divine spirit saying, do this or say that. I was doing more than just speaking facts at my job. I was connecting my own personal insights and my own experiences to the conversations I was having. I suddenly became more dimensional, and the people around me began to look and sound differently to me. During my free time, I reflected on what had happened, and suddenly I was flooded with more things I wanted to say and do. I was making plans for future things I wanted to say and do. There were signs at my place of employment that said, your mindset is everything. I had not noticed it before. I am starting to feel the fullness and richness of life again. Thank you for everything you and your family does, Rev Rich. Love and blessings. So I want to thank you for that email. I want you to take a moment and breathe into what you just heard, knowing that we, in this case, someone has taken that truth. They did not just live that truth. They did not only learn the truth, but they lived the truth they know. They put it, they expressed it, and now by you listening to this email, that person has allowed others to get permission to do exactly the same, and that's what we're here for. That's why I became a minister. First, to make sure I'm living my best life. But I knew I had to live my best life to show others. Now, is my life perfect? Of course not. I'm still working through my truths. But I get to share my expressions with you. And I'm grateful for the person who sent me this, who shared their expression with you. So with that, let's go ahead and prepare for our lesson today.
Come to me, I am ready to receive. 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 I am open to love. I am open to love. Humble me, I am open to love. Ready to receive. I am open to love. Ready to receive love. Ready to receive love. Ready to open, ready to receive love, ready to receive love. Ready to receive, I am ready to receive. Come to me. Ready to receive, I am ready to receive. Come to me. Ready to receive, I am ready to receive. Ready to receive, I am ready to receive love.
Again, good morning and welcome. And today we start our first of a series on Open to Receive. So here's a coin. And no, I'm not going to do magic again. But what I wanted to ask is, we have a dime. But when we look at this coin, what part of it is actually the coin? Is it the head side or is it the tail side? It isn't just one side, correct? We need both sides. And which one is more valuable? Is it the heads or is it the tails? In reality, they're both valued the same, correct? But to have this one coin, we must balance the heads and tails, correct? So it's a lot of questions, but what you want to realize is that this coin doesn't change. Whether you're looking at heads, tails, doesn't change the value, doesn't change the size. Of course, if we had different coins, it would have different denominations. But looking at this coin, neither heads or tails is more valuable, but you need both the heads and tails to complete this coin. And it's much like our talk today. There has to be a harmony in what we do. So as we explore two sides of the same coin in our talk this month, we have to understand that. So as someone who was raised Catholic, when it came to our own abundance or prosperity, all I saw as a child was that the priests at my church had to take a vow of poverty. And we heard all the sayings. We have been taught from the Bible, it is better to give than receive, and God loves a cheerful giver. Einstein said the value of a man lies in what he gives and not what he's capable of receiving. Calvin Coolidge said no person was ever honored for what he received, he was honored for what he gave. And we were taught for the longest time, it's not what we receive, but what we give. And the more we gave, the better the person we were. And you're talking to someone who would give till it hurt. And I didn't mind that. There were reasons for it in some cases. And in some cases, there wasn't reasons other than I wanted to. And the old me, after a while, would get frustrated because nothing was coming back. So we were taught from long ago that wanting something, we were greedy or selfish. So there's a lot of good authority that says giving is in a way better than receiving, correct? Have you heard that? I know I have. So it begs the question, if we are all here to give to others, then what are others here for? If you've been someone who's on the receiving end, in order for them there to be giving, there must be receiving. And in order for there to be receiving, there must be giving. I remember a story of a man who died. And when he was taken to two places. Both places looked identical. It was a dinner table. And there were people sitting at each side of the table, both with their hands out. When they went to what perceived as what we would call hell, the people there could not eat because their hands were locked in this position. When he taken to a place that was supposedly heaven and seeing the same picture, he goes, well, I just saw this in hell. How does that work? He says the people are each trying to feed each other. That's a little paraphrase. The story's a lot longer, but it's the point of that we all have the power to give and receive. And it's that power that gives us what we need to do. If we think of just nature in general, as we breathe out, we're breathing out carbon dioxide, which is taken in by plants, it's taken in by the trees. And in turn, they breathe out oxygen, which we breathe in. So think about it. We cannot breathe out carbon dioxide without our body immediately wanting to take oxygen in. Our plants, our trees, they can't breathe in carbon dioxide without having to push out oxygen. And when they give oxygen, what happens? They're breathing in that carbon dioxide. Our life is in the same principle. It's a give and receive. A 19th century German poet, dramatist, novelist, and scientist and philosopher, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and I've had to try to pronounce that name all my life in college, but it's perfect when he said, human life runs its course in the metamorphosis between receiving and giving. Ernest Holmes has also wrote in The Words That Heal Today, the great lesson that life delivers itself into our capacities to receive it. The outpouring from the cosmic horn of plenty can only fill the cup that is lifted up toward it. A pail turned on its side cannot be filled with rain from heaven. Now, you guys know I'm Eric Butterworth all the way. Reverend Eric Butterworth, I love the straightforward approach, and he said it perfectly. And when I read this, it was like the slap that hit television in my life. He said it's in our inability to be gracious receivers that it is indicative, of a spiritual problem that would no doubt answer the question about many other problems of life, such as, why can't I get ahead? And why do these troubles always come to me? If I were to refuse to accept the gifts, or even if I were to accept it grudgingly, with a sense of personal obligation, with an attempt to immediately reciprocate, I cut off my good and I cut off the other good too. So today we get ready to receive. See, for me, the biggest lesson was when Reverend Diane gave me that, and she gave me a book by Catherine Ponder called Open to Receive. See, my biggest problem was I love doing what I do. I love talking. I love inspiring people. I love to hear my daughter sing. I love to learn. I love to whatever. And I love to share everything I get out to you. The problem was when somebody tried to reciprocate. No, I'm okay. When somebody tried to pay me for speaking, that's okay. Give it back to the person who gave it to me. When somebody tried to give something, I always push back. And it wasn't until that lesson was shown to me that even though it wasn't enough to tell me that I was stopping my good. See, this is that comfort zone that if you were in our book study or in any of my talks, we know we talk about that comfort zone where it could still be painful, but I was comfortable knowing that I wasn't getting anything. But when I was told that by me doing what I was doing, by me not being a gracious receiver, that I was cutting off somebody else's prosperity, and that right there opened my eyes. Even today I challenge, whether it's my Reiki practice, whether it's whatever, if in my heart I can't find it to say, this is of my prices, or this here is whatever, I open my heart and say, it is up to you to graciously bless me with a love offering. I created a website for someone recently who needed something quick. How much are you going to charge me? I can't afford this. I said I wasn't going to charge you. She goes, I need to pay you. And that alone triggered me to say, here we are. And I said to her gracefully, I said, look, this website is not going to take me long. What you're asking for is very simple, but I'll be gracious to do it. So how about you just bless me with a love offering? And she did. And it made her feel good. And it was exactly what she needed. Have you ever been in that situation where someone has offered you something and you've turned it away? Or you've said, no, that's okay. And now realize that you're cutting off that person's good, because what did we talk about when we close out? What we give and what we circulate. And we can't circulate when we have a blockage. So let's move on. So many of you know that years prior to Unity, I studied Kabbalah. And the author here of the book, Kabbalistic Astrology and the Meaning of Our Lives, by Rav Berg, he talks about the story of creation from the Kabbalah perspective. He says, before there was anything, there was only light. There was nothing but light, and the light had only one urge, and that was to give and share itself. But that begs the question, doesn't it? Isn't there nothing but light then? To what or to whom will the light give or share? Obviously, this would not do. Something had to be done. So the light created a vessel to receive everything it had to offer. Receiving what the vessel's one and only job. Only thing that vessel was good for was to receive. And that's all it may do, and that's all it did. The nature of the light was to share itself fully and completely, and the nature of the vessel was to receive everything the light had to offer. Berg continues to write that the Kabbalah teaches that the light is the first cause. The vessel is the first effect. Now you guys as metaphysicians, as true students, sounds familiar, right? Berg writes that the Kabbalah teaches that the light is the first cause, the vessel is in effect the first effect, The vessel was filling up with light, and because time and space hadn't even begun yet, the vessel was filling endlessly. The light kept giving and giving and giving. The vessel kept receiving. It was perfect. In fact, it was paradise. But let's pause for a moment in the story of creation to emphasize something, because here is where it gets interesting. What was the nature of the light, and what was the only thing the light wanted to do? It wanted to share itself. And it shared itself fully and completely with this vessel. And then what it did. Therefore, the vessel received not only light from the source of the light, but the vessel received from the light that desire to share itself as well. And this desire to share felt good, very good to the vessel. In fact, the vessel wanted to start doing some sharing of its own, to shed some light of its own, so to speak. So we all know that when we give, it feels good. When we receive, it should feel just as good, but we're challenged with that. So we know now that the vessel has been receiving this light, he's been receiving it good, but now he wants a part of that good feeling of sharing. And the desire to share felt good, but how could the vessel express the desire to share if its whole nature was to receive? Sharing wasn't part of its job, so the vessel made a decision to its first decision, and it was a very important one. As part of its desire to express what it was, the vessel pushed back the light and said, "No more, I don't want to receive anymore." The moment the vessel pushed back and the light stopped simply being the receiver, the light said, "Okay, I understand. You need to evolve and express yourself." Just as a loving parent who stands back to allow a toddler to take his or first awkward steps, the light withdrew. It gave the vessel the space to learn about sharing and the opportunity to become causative force in the creation process. The ancient Kabbalists call the vessel act of pushing the back light the restriction. Science has named it for another name, the Big Bang. According to the Kabbalah, once the restriction or the Big Bang took place, the vessel exploded into zillions and zillions of pieces. The pieces of the shattered vessel became all the fragments of matter and energy that make up our entire universe. Atom, animals, people, planets, everything. Everything in the universe is a portion of the original vessel, which was made by the light and of the light. So to quote the author again, Kabbalistically, the desire to receive is the secret engine that drives everything in the universe, and it is in fact indispensable to the world's functioning. It is when the simple desire to receive is changed into the desire to receive in order to share that we become more like the light and we become the cause of our own fulfillment. Again, according to the wisdom of the Kabbalah, the unifying link between the spiritual and the physical worlds, the world above and the world below, is the desire to receive the light of the Creator, and the humankind is the highest embodiment of that desire. Great creation story, and doesn't that sound familiar? If we are the greatest expression of what this energy, this source that we call God, is that not where we express the giving that we need to give? But we have to be just as open to receive. Nothing more is a great example of being a baby. The secret of staying young and vibrant and vital throughout life is to hang on to those precious moments, those characteristics of children. We know that even in our own Bible, it's said that for us to enter into the kingdom of heaven, we must be like children. Our minds must be like children. We know that as children, as babies, as we hold them, they're beautiful, they're loving, they're great, and they only want love, food, and cleaning. There's nothing more on their agenda. Love me, clean me, feed me. But in turn and unintentionally, what do they give back? Love. Amanda Owens, from the book The Power of Receiving, writes, life is inherently giving, and if barriers to receive were removed, like when a floodgate is lowered, life's givingness would rush in. So the question here goes, just like I had to make a decision, are you ready to receive? We are tested in every way. Supposedly someone gives you a gift or something special to you. Do you accept it graciously, or do you protest that you are not worthy and that they really shouldn't do it? Or perhaps do you hasten to repay it? Those are all indications that you can open up, that you need to open up more to receive. Now, let's make that a little more realistic. I want you to look in your home right now. So if you're watching this at home with someone, with your family, with your children, whatever, I want you to turn to them. And I want you to compliment them. And in turn, I want them to compliment you. I'll wait. Enough time? All right, great. How did you feel? When they complimented you, did you immediately feel like you had to compliment them? It's rough, right? Just something in our nature that says we have to give back because we can't just receive it. It took a lot for me to say, hey, Rev Rich, I loved your talk, to just say thank you. For many of my years, I would be like, hey, Rich, I like what you did. Yeah, and I like what you did, because I felt that something had to be given back before I could ever accept anything. We talk about sometimes having to shock ourselves. You know, if you're a car enthusiast and you park up, so my friend has a convertible that he loves to drive in the summer. But of course, once it starts getting too cold to have the top down, he parks up the car, he pulls out the SUV. So now we'll say that car is parked up for about 5 to 6 months. Gets in the car, turns the key, doesn't turn on. What's going on? Well, that battery that gives it the energy to start may not be working. So what do we have to do? We have to shock it. Get it started. And that's what we're here to do this for the next 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, including today. And next week, we're going to definitely start on that. So with that being said, we move to affirming for ourselves that we must be gracious receivers. So a little bit about how I learned and how I became open. And again, what I tell you now is not to impress you, but to impress upon you how important this thing was. And I truly have to thank Reverend Diane for this, because Reverend Diane was the one that caught that in me. Everything that they try to give me, everything they try to do for me, I loved working, and I love volunteering, and I love doing stuff, and I love helping organizations get better, but I could not receive. And she said that that's why your prosperity wasn't where it was. That is why prosperity didn't stick. And let's change the word to abundance, health, life, everything. Wasn't sticking because every time something came in, I would push it back immediately, or I wouldn't let it come in. When I began to do that, when I began to listen, and I started to receive words, when I received lessons, when I changed my reaction to stop automatically reacting to someone, but to pause and listen to it and see what the lesson was for me and receive that lesson, things started changing. I started seeing more clients. I started to have opportunities come up in my life. Decisions come in. And now, is it always great? No, but some of these decisions may lead to bigger things. And it is the love of what I do and being open to receive that brings those opportunities to me. How many opportunities have you missed out because you kept pushing back? How many things have you gotten in divine authority or divine intuition that you treated like a bill and pushed it away? Okay? How many things have come in to your thought pattern and said, today it is your job to do this, and immediately you turn to, I don't know, that's not for me. And that's when we have to become a gracious giver and be a gracious receiver and continue that energy of circulation. Because we have to remember that everything is energy, no matter what it is you think we're doing. It is all energy. So let me leave you with this. Let us begin to affirm and know that based on our talks before that we deserve the dreams that we want. We are smart, we are perfect expressions of God, and you are an amazing light and spiritual truth if no one has told you. Those I am statements, reminding myself that I am a gracious receiver. I am open to receive. I am open-minded, open-hearted to receive. And when I receive something that I think is not mine, if it is to come into me, I am to be graciously receiving it, take the lesson from it. As I said earlier, I love to learn. And when I learn new things, you know what happens? I get excited. And when I get excited, I want to share. And when I share, I can watch people grow, just like the email that I received today about what this person got out of the last 4 weeks. And I urge you that even if you didn't submit one for this week, submit your testimonies and I will share them online, because it's important as we receive is to give, because by giving that light as well, people are open to receive it and say, I can do that too. Ernest Holmes says there's a place in which lies open to the infinite. But when the Spirit brings its gifts by pouring itself through us, it can give us only what we take. This taking is mental. If we persist in saying that life will not give us that which is good, it cannot. For life must reveal itself to us through our intelligence. If we are not receiving to the degree we would like, ask yourself, am I a good receiver? How can I be a better receiver? I like something I heard from Steve Harvey today. And he was talking more in the traditional sense, but he said, when you ask something from God, he gives it to you. We all read, ask and you shall receive. So when you ask for something, you put in an order with God. God says, here's the order. He sends it out for delivery. But there's only one place he delivers it. It's to Faith Street. That delivery truck will only come down Faith Street and deliver it to your address at Faith Street. That delivery truck will never enter into I Doubt Street, nor will it ever enter into Maybe If I Street. It will only deliver to Faith Street. Are you willing to stand in faith? So let's take some moments and stand together and affirm with me, I am a good receiver. I receive all the good in my life. God's will for me is the all good. Life is good all the time. And I receive it all the time. And so it is, and so it let it be. And we affirm that with an amen. So guys, I want you to pick this lesson up today. I know it's a lot more information than anything else. Next week, I promise you, we're going to engage together. And if you like the people who sent me the email, you're going to participate next week. I'm going to have the link up before the middle of the week so that you can print it out for yourself. It's going to be a 40-day task, but you're going to follow along as we continue to talk on this. So with that, as always, I'm grateful you're here today. And I ask you, let's pick our stuff up. Let's move over to Faith Street as we stand in faith. Alicia, why don't you go ahead and tell them how we do that?
Can't escape disappointment, can't avoid the delay, but I don't have to make feeling down and defeated the place that I stay. Gonna rise to the moment, gonna speak to the waves, gonna push back that doubt that keeps dragging me down when I can't find a way. Don't need to see it,
I saw you
to believe it,
for my breakthrough.
for you even move or make a way. I will stand in faith,
I saw you
walk by faith,
for my breakthrough.
live by faith.
For you,
Oh, I believe, stand in faith,
I saw you
see by faith,
for my breakthrough.
receive by faith.
For you,
Oh, I believe, season for healing. It's a season for change. To see miracles happen when no one can fathom as heaven invades. And it's more than a feeling, and it's anchored in praise. And when it's the darkest, it reaches the farthest and opens the way. Don't need to see it,
I saw it.
well, to believe it.
My breakthrough.
Before you even move or make a way, yeah. I will stand in faith,
I saw it.
walk by faith,
My breakthrough.
live by faith. Oh, I believe, I believe, I believe. Stand in faith,
I saw it.
see by faith,
My breakthrough.
receive by faith. Oh, I believe, I believe, I believe. This is how a blind man gets their sight. This is how a dead man starts to rise. This is how small things multiply. Nothing's impossible, nothing's impossible. This is where oceans have to part. This is where light cuts through the dark. This is where I see who you are. Nothing's impossible, nothing's impossible. Stir my faith, stir my faith. I will stand in faith, walk by faith, live by faith. Oh, I believe, I believe, I believe. Stand in faith, see by faith, receive by faith. Oh, I believe, I believe, I believe. I stand in faith.
I stand in faith. That's the most important part here. As we start moving through these four, you're going to be challenged, especially if you were like me and did not want to practice receiving. You love giving. You gave with unconditional love, but you hated to receive. You need to stand in faith and know that this principle will work for you. So, of course, as always, thank you, Alicia, for blessing us with the music. For those who are joining us here today, whether you're live or watching this later. And as always, we come to the time where we get to practice that part of circulation where we can give and receive. And we're open to that. So again, whether you have already donated to your spiritual community or you have it in hand now, go ahead and virtually take it in your hand. Hold it to your heart. And together we say, divine love as me, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I circulate. For it is in what I give and receive that allows our abundance to grow. I hope you got something from today's lesson. Truly hope to see you guys on any of our episodes now that technology is working. And if not, I will see you next Sunday for part 2 of our series of Open to Receive. As always, I love you. Nothing you can do about it. And this bid you namaste as the big and beautiful divinity in me blesses and sees that big and beautiful divinity in you. Go in peace and express your life for others.